We will begin by looking at the marine map and descriptions of the northern lands, also known as the Carta Marina. The Carta Marina was made by Olaus Magnus and completed in 1539. The map measures 4 by 5.5 feet and is composed of 9 individual wood blocks. The map was printed with black ink and hand-painted in Venice. It took Magnus 12 years to produce this incredible work. As an ecclesiologist, which is one who studies the Christian church, the origins of Christianity and its discipline, he was free to draw from scriptural, classical, and medieval authority combined with Scandinavian history and folklore from his travels. Only 2 copies of this map still exist. Olaus Magnus's intentions were to create an accurate gallery of marine biology based on the information he collected from travel, popular folklore, and mariners' accounts. Magnus was so intent on being exact that most creatures were accompanied by a written description and key. Despite their imaginative appearance, most of the creatures were based on true encounters with sea animals, shedding light on how mythology and folklore can evolve from real events. Magnus wrote of this illustration, "A whale is a very great fish, about 100 or 300 foot long, and the body is of vast magnitude. Yet the orca, which is smaller in quantity, but more nimble in assault, and cruel to come on, is his deadly enemy. An orca is like a hull turned inside outward, a beast with fierce teeth, with which, as the stern of the ship, he rends the whale guts, and tears his calf's body, or he quickly runs and drives them up and down with his prickly back that makes him run to the fords and shores." Magnus wrote of this illustration, "The sea orn, or great Norway serpent, is 200 feet thick. It can destroy a ship, but is also a sign of some wonderful change of the kingdom bare at hand, namely that the princes shall die, or be banished, or some tumultuous war shall presently follow. There is a sea serpent which is vast magnitude, namely 200 foot long or more. He hath commonly hair hanging from his neck, cubit long, and sharp scales, and is black. He hath flaming shining eyes. This snake disquets the shippers, and puts up his head on high like a pillar, and catcheth away men, and he devours them." It was a common medieval belief that every land animal had its counterpart in the sea. This sea swine or sea pig with eyes along its body lived in the North Sea. It was compared to heretics that distorted truth and lived like swine. This illustration served as a message. Sailors beware. Do not mistake a whale for an island and drop anchor on the creature as if in safe haven. Do not set up a cooking pot or build a barbecue, for the creature, feeling the grapnels in its flesh and the flames of your fire, will sound, taking you and your picnic with you to the depth. This giant polypus looks like a lobster on the map, but is described more like an octopus in the description. In this illustration, 2 whales attack a ship as sailors try to scare them away by tossing barrels and playing a trumpet. During the 16th century age of exploration, the production of maps was in high demand, and new discoveries were propelling the need for updated maps. Sebastian Munster's plate illustration of monsters of both land and sea comes from his book Cosmographia. This work was an accurate attempt to describe the entire cosmos. There were not any proprietary laws at the time, so most of the illustrations derived from the Carta Marina. One vignette shows a galleon trying to outrun one monster by throwing their cargo overboard while one sailor holds a musket. Very similar to that in the Carta Marina. Here we see the comparison between an illustration of a monkfish and that of a squid. It was said that sometime between 1545 and 1550, the peculiar sea monk washed up on a beach near the strait between modern-day Denmark and Sweden. None of the naturalists of the day who drew or discussed the animal had ever actually laid eyes on the sea monk specimen. It was described as almost 8 feet long, having mid-body fins, a tail fin, a black head, and a mouth on its ventral side. This illustration of a hydra comes from Edward Topsell's book, The History of Four-Footed Beasts and Serpents, published in 1658. This print was done by Pierre Denis de Montfort in 1801. He was a zoologist that dealt with mollusks. The inspiration of this print comes from the description of French sailors reportedly attacked by such a creature off the coast of Angola. This is a very early depiction of a sea monster. It comes from a Greco-Roman mosaic from Carthage around 3rd century AD. The Nereid nymph, or goddess of the sea and protector of sailors and fishermen, coming to the aid of those in distress, rides the back of a sea monster. The creature is depicted as serpentine marine dragon with a coiling tail and wing-like fins. The sea monsters can also have political symbolism. This print of King Manuel of Portugal riding a sea creature off the southern tip of Africa symbolizes Portugal's control of the seas. This print was made in 1516.